Hi guys, it's Brigitte. So I am coming on today to share with you a video particularly for maybe the newer crafters that are looking to see how to stretch their dies in case you guys are looking to invest in a little bit more expensive dies, like, you know, nesting dies like this, which offer several different sizes for card making. Another example could be circles or dies like this. And I will also be sharing a couple of different ways to use these types, which are sometimes they're called background dies or cover plates. They can cover an entire side front of a card, like about a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. So traditionally you would buy these and say, well, how many times am I going to use these to make a card front? You know, they're pretty, they're a little expensive, but what would I do with these? So let's just take, for example, this particular one. It's an Essentials by Ellen. You can find it on ellenhudson.com. And what it does when you run it through your machine is it produces this, which it's colored because you'll see what happened. But, you know, let's just say it's a white piece of cardstock, which it was. That's the back side. So you get this and you would put it on the cover of your card for an effect like this, right? So this is a red card base. The possibilities are endless. This would be a colored cardstock, glittered cardstock. You know, the underneath could be glittered cardstock. So you have many possibilities, but it's just cutting out the shape of the die. So then you can take this. You can also create a stencil because you lay it on top of your card. You use your inks, sprays, texture pastes, whatever medium you're going to use. And then when you peel it off, it became a stencil for you. Okay, that same one can also be run through your machine and used as an embossing folder. This is a 1-layer card that I folded in half. And with this die, I was able to impress but not cut through. Okay, so this is a Big Shot Plus, but if you have the regular Big Shot, you would have a plate like this. You would have to open tab 2 to get onto tab 1, and then the sandwich for that would be, and again, this is my very well loved Big Shot Plus plate. I don't know where the smaller plates are for the regular Big Shot, so I'll just demonstrate and then pull out my plates. So you would put your plate down. You would take, these are sometimes tan in color, but they're an embossing mat. They're very flexible. Okay. You would put down your cardstock. And this is for the embossing. You would put down your die. So now this mat is going to absorb all the cutting of the die. And you can either put your plate over it, the second plate, or they have what's called a textured impressions pad, I believe, and it's hard. It's kind of like the acrylic plate to begin with. I think it might be just a tiny bit thicker because it gives a stronger impression than if you put the other clear plate on top of this. Okay, so now if you have the Big Shot Plus, you would just, well, I guess the A plate is irrelevant. So you would take off the A plate and you're left with the regular Big Shot Plus platform. And then the same sandwich that I just demonstrated. You can either put the second cut plate on here, or use this. Now this will just give a stronger impression on the card or cardstock itself. Okay. And what happened when you take away the die? Your piece of paper is embossed. Okay? So then you say to yourself, okay, well, what else can I do? I'm going to take this die and show you how you can do, let me see where it is. You can cut your card base and then make it look like you used what? You're saying to yourself, wow, how did you do that? It's not an embossing folder. Well, you just basically take the same sandwich, okay, and then you take your embossing mat, right? It works better with the next size down from, you know, if you're making a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card, you don't want to use the largest nestability you have. Like, let's say this would be the largest size. It's not going to give the same effect. I mean, you could, it's a personal preference. So you would, you know, center that so that you have even margins all around. And then again, now you have a card that has been embossed. Now, certainly you can use that as just what it's intended for, to cut out and then mount on a layer or pop dots on your card. But now you have a card that's embossed on the back. You see, now you can put a piece of cardstock to hide that. You can make it this way, but you can emboss and make it a really neat effect. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to share with you, and I'll demonstrate it on both, is you can take a piece of cardstock, as long, like, I don't really measure, but if this is like a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper, I just take like 6 by 12, cut it in half, to make it 6 by 12, sorry. And then what I will do is I will fold the card in half, and then you want to butt up the fold line under the cut line. So you see these are stitch lines on both sides, but that solid line is a cut line. Now you don't want to lay it over it because then it'll just cut through 2 pieces of paper. You want to lay the fold just under the cut line. So now that we're cutting, we're going to put the A plate back on. So if you were doing this on your Big Shot, it would just be the regular tab 2 folded in. You know, it would look like this. Okay, then you put your plate down, and I think I'm gonna just tape this so that it doesn't move. Okay. It's hard to work around my camera, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, and then what you get is you take the tape, And instead of just having a plain card front, you have the stitching detail. And because you didn't put the cut line up there, you have your card. Okay? So that's another option for you. And let me see if I wanted to show you anything else. What I wanted to share with you was the plate that I used here. This is a Hero Arts. Let's see what it's called. Okay, that's the cover plate. It's called, what is that? Circle Confetti Fancy Die. You can cut that out, and then this is using texture paste. So this happens to be a sparkle texture. So I took the front, and then, you know, I scraped through like a stencil, and when I lifted it, this is the effect it has. You can put a little snowy border here and put a sentiment with a little critter, or, you know, that's another effect. So I think that I covered everything with this. If you have any other questions, just let me know. I hope that this helped you. If you want to see what other thing, let's see. Let's try and do one of the scalloped circles, okay? So here's another card base. It's just, I think this one might be 5 by 12. And you just want to put, for a circle, you can go as deep or as shallow as you want. The cut line is on the scallop here with the stitching underneath. So I'm just going to put it just about there, okay? I'm not going to put the tape, so let's see if that stays. Sometimes with this machine, like, I know my machine, so I'm going to run it back again. Depends on the cardstock and how thick it is. But there you have a card now. Okay? And it's cool because you get the stitching and the scallop, so it's a neat way to make a shaped card. So I hope that helps you guys to look at your dies in a new way, and maybe think about investing in some dies. What I would suggest, especially if you're new, I would definitely suggest either a square or a circle nesting die. So that's really, as a basic card maker or scrapbooker, you can do so many things to decorate your projects, because these are invaluable, especially the way that I just shared with you. You don't need all the fancy stuff. That could be on your wish list, Christmas, birthdays, holidays. You can get those as gifts, save up a little, shop and buy them for yourselves. But things like this, even simple, they don't have to be decorative, just a circle, or, you know, if you want the stitching, just a very simple nesting die like this. I think with those 3 different effects are, you know, invaluable as a newer, first-time, introductory kind of lesson. So thank you for sticking around. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thumbs up, please, is so appreciated if you enjoyed what I shared with you. And I will be back to share a little tip and trick on stringing your jingle bells. Okay, bye guys.